read 64 books in 2025, and today we're gonna rank every single one of them. If at some point during this video you're going to see icicles dangling from my nose, don't worry, that's because we do not have heating in the house. So I am basically freezing to death here, but that's fine. My goal for 2025 was 60 books, and I managed to surpass that by 4 books, which I would say is a win. But at the same time, I don't really care how many books I read as long as I find 5-star reads, which you'll see I haven't found very many of them, unfortunately, this year. As for the genres that I've read this year, we have mostly romantasy, then romance, then fantasy, then thriller. I am a romantasy girly through and through. That's for sure. Now for the categories. First and foremost, we have the injected into my veins category, which is basically god tier books I cannot stop thinking about and I do not take any criticism on. The next one is objectively great, which are the wonderful books I enjoyed reading, but they did not hit the level where I start feeling hollow inside after finishing them. Then we have the did the job. You know, those books that were decent. Like yeah, it was a book. It's good. I don't really care much about it, you know. With the could have been an email category, here we're gonna put the books that are slightly boring, slightly too long. You can read them, but you're not excited about it. It might be someone's favorite book for some unknown reason, but it was not for me. The next one, why did I read this? This one is for those books that make you wonder, what am I doing with my life? Like, I could have been doing something more productive, like banging my head on the wall for this entire time. And ultimately, we have the shelf of shame. Now, is that shame for me because I read it or for the book? I am not sure. The very first book I read in 2025 was Icebreaker, and what I can tell you is that it was too spicy for me, okay? It was really cringe. The conflict was very childish, and I do not know the name, her partner in ice skating, but that one is a little bitch I wanna strangle, okay? So it was let's say it did the job. The Love Hypothesis. This is one of my very favorite rom-coms, and for sure I will definitely inject it into my veins as soon as possible. And then we have Fourth Wing, and if you know anything about me, you know that I love the Empyrean series. It is too spicy, yes, it is. Very cringe in certain situations. Yes, definitely. But at the same time, I can get over all of that because of how it made me feel. I felt hollow inside after I finished the first 2 books in this series, so I feel like Iron Flame is up there. These 2 books altered my brain chemistry. I was basically sad for a few days because I was like, what am I doing with my life if I'm not riding my dragon and bantering with Xaden? Now we have The Cruel Prince, and before jumping to conclusions, okay, I hated Cruel Prince, you know that. I hated book 1 of Cruel Prince, but this, The Wicked King and Queen of Nothing, I love them. And the series has redeemed itself for me through that, but still, I do hate The Cruel Prince, so I'd say could have been an email, definitely. I really didn't like this one. The Serpent and the Wings of Night. Now, this book was initially a 5-star read, and it's still a very good book, but it's not really there, you know? So I'd say it's objectively great. Not god tier for me. It was a bit slow at first, took me a while to get into the story, which doesn't happen with the ones in the injected into my veins category, okay? So it was a little bit slow, but still fast-paced after that part. We have vampires, we have deadly trials, we have a lot of things that I love. So it is still a really good book. Onyx Storm. It is not at the same level with the first 2 books. It felt really predictable but linear, even though I didn't know exactly what was going to happen. It had that cadence, which I was, you know, I knew how it would work, the pacing. So it is an objectively great book if it had been with you. And honestly, why did I freaking read this? Why? Ask me why, I don't freaking know. I wasted my time on this book that was literally written as if a 12-year-old girl was writing in her journal. I know that was the point, but why? No. Absolutely not. Next we have Does It Hurt? And now I'm wondering, why did I read this book? I feel like it's Shelf of Shame. It was quite entertaining. But what the heck is going on with this guy? Enzo? You need to keep your anger issues in check. I feel like Enzo should be the one to be the most ashamed in this situation, honestly. The first and only classic book I read in 2025, White Knight. And And what I can tell you is that I didn't like it. It was the shortest book ever. And I was bored. I couldn't wait for it to end. I don't know how that happens. It is basically a story about a poor guy falling for a bitch. That's what happened. And it's not that the book is bad or anything, like, just not for me. So why did I read this? I don't know. I didn't like it. It didn't make me feel anything but frustrated. The Book of Azrael. Hear me out. I read this book and was expecting fireworks, okay? Because everyone was crazy about it. And I did like it. The world building is quite intense and it can get a bit overwhelming at first. Then when we hit, the moment where things are happening, the book ends. And that made me really angry. And I didn't want to read the next book because I thought it would be bad. Now, what I am now realizing after a year is that I am just a little bit petty about it. I am petty because the cliffhanger annoyed me. So I'd say it did the job for me. Now, the next two books, I don't know what possessed me to read them, okay? But this is the life of a YouTuber. I had to put out content and I was like, you know what? Let's read something outrageous. And I did. I read Unhinged by Vera Valentine, which is about a door as the love interest, yeah. And this girl does the nasty with the door's knob. Shelf of Shame for me, mostly for me. Then in the same category we have Stuffed, which is not about a door this time, but about a pillow. Definitely Shelf of Shame. You know what? Now I'm thinking about it. Does It Hurt might not be that bad. And then I'm thinking about it again. White Knight wasn't that bad either. Let's restructuring the ranking here, okay? We're gonna move White Knight to Could Have Been an Email. I feel like that is better. And then Does It Hurt? Why did I read this? Because I still enjoyed it, right? It's not as bad as Unhinged and Stuffed, okay? Okay. Then we have freaking funny story by Emily Henry, okay? Oh my god. Emily Henry writes so well. Her books are so well written and you are getting into the story and it's like I can't put the book down, right? The spice in this particular book and funny story was the best, one of the best spice I've ever read because it was not detailed. It was not graphic. No, scratch that. It was detailed, but it was not graphic. So it was not vulgar, in my opinion, and rarely do I find that in books. I really appreciate it, but the freaking ending got on my last nerve because she, as always, has the miscommunication trope in the end, which I hate with a passion. And for that alone, I'm just gonna put it to why did I read this? Because I hate it so much. I don't understand why she destroys her book with that trope in the end. We have The Predator by Runix, which I was into the story. I liked it. Kind of spicy, mafia, dark romance, good vibes, but still kind of a weird book. Better than other dark romances mafia I have read before, but still it didn't make me want to read book 2 for some reason. I would say it did the job. It was decent. I had fun. Wild Eyes by Elsie Silver. Now, I liked this book. It was a cowboy small town romance, really cozy, slowish read. But it was so predictable and boring for me at some point that it basically put me into a reading slump. And I don't know why, because I enjoyed it, but at the same time, like I knew everything that was going to happen and I lost interest. And don't even get me started on the freaking spice. Girl, this was so graphic. Like, and why are you using seed here in the book? Like, we do not use seed if the book is not about gardening, okay? Neither do we use milking. Milk. The word milk and all its derivatives or whatever, English is not my first language, those could be used only in relation to food, okay? Okay. Wild Eyes, too spicy for me. Could have been an email. Yeah. Could have been an email. Then we have Very Deep by Colleen Hoover, which was actually my very first book written by her that I've read and the very first thriller I have ever read. So I really liked the suspense, right? And the eerie feeling of the thriller part. But this was a romance thriller book. And the romance part wasn't something I enjoyed, really. I don't think I would like any of her romance books. This particular book, Verity, I enjoyed it. I think it did the job. ACOTAR. And you know me, I fell in love with ACOTAR after book 1. I know some of you feel like book 1 was slow. I disagree with that. I feel like it was an introduction to the world and the story, and you had to learn the way things work and this girl's life before she entered the whole Fae land. It's not my favorite of them all, but it is still injected into my veins, definitely. So there we have The Housemaid. I liked it. I needed to know what was going to happen, so I read it in one sitting. But I was a bit disappointed. Storyline was easy in the end, and the very ending was made so that it allowed a part 2, and that was very obvious. I'd say it did the job. Caraval is a weird one. And that's because Caraval was kind of slow in the beginning, because I expected it to be more fast-paced, but then the ending was so mind-blowing that it was worth it. And Stephanie Garber's writing style is so easy to follow and so vivid and colorful that I think that this is a special book. And I'd say it was objectively great. I would recommend it, even though it was a little bit slow in the beginning. I loved Powerless when I read it at first. I was over the moon with this book, but then I read Reckless and I was like, not as good in my opinion. Let's just stick to my initial amazement with it, and let's say it was objectively great, because I did enjoy book 1. Had I read it now, it wouldn't be in the objectively great category. It was fast-paced. I liked it, but I feel like other books are doing the same things way better. Next we have Shatter Me, and once again, I might make some of you angry, but it did not hit. It did not do what I was expecting it to do. It was not as fast-paced as I wanted. I want more from the series, and I haven't yet gotten that while reading it, so I don't know if it's going to get better, but Shatter Me did the job. One of my favorite did the jobs, let's put it at that. Court of Mist and Fury, injected in my veins now. Extremely god tier. If you haven't read it, you definitely should. Unite Me, the first novella in the Shatter Me series, and Unite Me was better than Shatter Me in my opinion. I loved getting Aaron's perspective. A Court of Wings and Ruin, god tier, you already know that. Powerful made me sob. It was one of the saddest books I've read, so I'd say this was objectively great. I really liked it, and I resonated with Adina so damn much. Twisted Love, I am sorry, it could have been an email, for sure an email. A bit too cringe for my liking. I did enjoy, however, the plot twist at the end. That was really good. Better than the movie. This was a sweet YA romance. I liked it, but it didn't leave an impression on me. Like, it was fine. I enjoyed it, but it's not one of my favorite rom-coms ever, you know? It did the job. Unravel Me, and I'm gonna be completely honest with you, I do not remember anything that happened in this book. Okay, no, I read this during the 24-hour reading challenge, I remember, and I was really bored for half of it. Yeah, could have been an email, unfortunately. Once I found out that the first half was just 4 days or a week or so, I thought it was 4 months. So it was really slow for me. Twisted Games, no! Oh my god, you guys love these books. At first I enjoyed it. It was really easy to follow, right? But then the whole romance part started, and it was way too cringe and way too much for me. Way too spicy, not my thing. Twisted Love was better than Twisted Game. So I'd say, why did I read this? A Court of Frost and Starlight, which is basically the Christmas special novella of the ACOTAR series. It's a filler book, okay? You do not need it. It's not a must. Nothing really happens. Did I enjoy it? Yeah, because at this point, I would take anything that involves Ricin and Feyre, okay? Because I really love them and their world. Let's just say it did the job. For me. Then we have Fairy Tales from the Underworld, which I DNF'd. I did that because the MMC called a girl pet. And then there was this other part in the beginning where he offered the girl a drink, a diet Pepsi or something like that, or a diet whatever. And she goes, "Why did you give me this?" And he said, "Oh, all girls like diet Pepsi or diet Coke or whatever." And I was like, no. Diet Coke tastes like shit. Regular Coke is good. And not even that, I hate Coke. I like Fanta. It has really weird vibes. It was not for me, and I would say to the shelf of shame. Love on the Brain, which was my second Ellie Hazelwood book that I read in 2025. I loved it. For anyone who hasn't read Ellie Hazelwood up until now, just so you know, all her books follow a very similar vibe. Like, it's the same thing over and over again, but you cannot get enough of it. Objectively great for me, so it doesn't compare to The Love Hypothesis in my opinion. I did start Throne of Glass by Sarah J Maas as well, but I only read book 1. So my opinion on this series is not yet well developed, okay? I liked the book, but it was nowhere near ACOTAR up until this point. So I'd say this one was objectively great. It was very well written, it was intricate, and it got me thinking, what's going on in this world? I want to know more. But not how I felt about ACOTAR, because after I read book 1, I couldn't wait to get book 2 to continue. That didn't happen with Throne of Glass, but I'm pretty sure it will happen with the next books in the series. The Song of Achilles. Everyone and their mother cried while reading this book. I didn't. I felt like the ending was stupid, because why would you do something like what they did? You know how that's going to end. It's just stupid. It doesn't make sense. I wouldn't say it was objectively great for me, but objectively great in the grand scheme of things, yeah, it was. So The Song of Achilles did the job for me. The Ashes and the Star-Cursed King, which is the sequel to The Serpent and the Wings of Night. I love The Serpent and the Wings of Night, and I went into The Ashes and the Star-Cursed King expecting something similar. In book 1, the MMC does something despicable, okay? I cannot stand him for what he did. And I was expecting something to happen for him to be redeemable in book 2. An explanation, a reason that's more than just I had to, right? That doesn't happen. And it got me feeling like, okay, don't really like this guy anymore. And then the book was kind of slow up until page 100, where I DNF'd it, unfortunately. I still feel like I have yet to get into the pulp of the book and the part where it gets fast-paced. I will get back to it and I want to continue it, but not right now. For now, given the circumstance, it could have been an email. Now we got to the sequel of If He Had Been With Me, which is If Only I Had Told Her. Now, why did I read this book given that I hated book 1? I made a video in which I continue a series I dislike. I regret choosing this book. Book 2 was better than book 1, and I say it could have been an email. With Ignite Me, guys, you told me that this is the best book in the Shatter Me series. I had high expectations, and then I got disappointed, because it was not that good. It was better, but not to that level. Objectively great. It was better. I liked it. Then I wanted more. The story feels easy, slow. Even though the stakes are high, it doesn't feel like that. The Silent Patient is the first thriller that felt more thrillery. I liked it. It kept me on my toes. I did not expect the plot twist at all. Does the book have plot holes? Yes, of course, it is full of plot holes, but I decided to ignore them, okay? So it was an objectively great book. I would recommend it to someone who's looking for a thriller. The Wicked King. This redeemed the Cruel Prince series for me. I was glued to this book and the next one, Pin of Nothing, but still not to the level of the books up here in the Injected Into My Veins categories. Objectively great, I loved it. Now we have Norwegian Wood by Haruki Murakami. It didn't make any sense. It feels like Haruki Murakami writes things just for the sake of putting down the things that pop in his head. It doesn't make any sense for me. It's on the shelf of shame. Like, what's going on? Also, he describes sexual scenes so freaking weird. It's like, why? Why are you thinking about this? No, definitely not. Sabotage by Chantal Tessier. I DNF'd this book. I DNF'd Haruki Murakami too, probably 70% in. Put it into context for you. The book starts with a freaking yeah. And then the guy films everything and posts it on the internet, and she's just a little bit angry about it. She just destroys his car and then proceeds to bang him again. So I don't know what's going on. Why is this on paper? I don't know. Definitely shelf of shame for the book and for me for reading it. Red Rising is the first science fiction I have ever read, and I do not care if you do not think that this is a science fiction, because it has a lot of science and it's fiction, so I'm convinced, okay? First half of the book, absolutely outstanding. Gets a little bit slow on the second trial, and I kept waiting for it to finish, but then it kept on up until the very end. Ending was really good, so I'd say that it balanced itself out. Red Rising, objectively grade, one of my favorites. I'm just gonna put it up front because I like it so much. That's Not My Name. This book was the only ever book that made me feel so damn anxious. I felt like I was running out of time while reading it, and as an anxious girly, I'm really anxious all the time. I don't need that. It's too much. Like, the book is really good, and I was literally, my eyes were bulging while I was reading it. That's how into the book I was. I'm gonna say it's objectively great because it made me feel a certain way, and it was very suspenseful, let's say, but I will not read any other book like this one ever in my life because I don't want to feel that anxiety creeping in. It's too much for me. The Naturals, oh my god, injected into my veins. Really good. Jennifer Lynn Barnes, through one single book, became one of my favorite authors. She put everything I love in romanticities into a thriller, but without magic. It was very fast-paced. It is a YA. I just love it. Then we have another thriller, which is Kill for Me, Kill for You by Steve Kavanaugh. Harder to follow, in my opinion, but still, it was really good. It was really, really good, and I'd say it's objectively great. The 7-Year Slip, which, this was such a sweet rom-com. Not very funny though. A sweet romance. For some reason, it didn't hit that hard for it to be injected into my veins, but it is one of my favorite rom-coms. Very sweet, very heartwarming. I don't have anything to complain about it. I loved the spice, if you can call it spice, the intimate interactions between the FMC and the MNC. They were so well written. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. Even better than the spice in Funny Story. The Sweetest Oblivion. This is a mafia dark romance, and I loved reading it. It was such an easy and relaxing read, but I am not really interested in continuing the series. That's not really a bad thing. It's not because the book is bad. It's just, it was a fun read as long as I was reading it. After that, my mind doesn't, I'm not really curious. Which makes it just a did the job type of book. Oh god, the Pumpkin Spice Cafe. Well, I couldn't bear to get to half point of this book. It's a small town sweet romance. It's quite spicy. I jumped to the spice to see how spicy it was. A little bit too spicy in my opinion. I got bored. I didn't care. The characters were so flat. I don't know why. It could have been an email, but worse than that. It's worse than that. So I'm just gonna put it in why did I read this? Brother, which is the only horror book I read this year. And the writing style was so vivid, but I wouldn't recommend this if you are sensitive to certain themes. It has really strong, vulgar, disgusting things happening, okay? So a hard read if you are, But I watched Identification Discovery as a kid a lot, and I can handle that. It was objectively great. I really liked it. Reckless. She runs. He runs after her, he finds her, he brings her back. The only interesting thing is the very ending. There was no addition to the story, apart from like a back and forth between Kai and Paige. So I feel like it was mostly a waste of time. I'm sorry, I know this sounds harsh because everyone loves it, but I don't know why. Why didn't we just put this part into book 3 and we had a duology, Could have been an email for sure. Good Spirits by B.K. Borison. So this is a Christmas book, but it's a paranormal romance between a ghost and a girl. I loved this book. This was such a sweet book. The spice was outrageous. 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 I don't understand. Those words should not be in a book. I'm sorry. But still, it was objectively great. I loved reading it. This is the season for revenge. Oh my god. I liked it at first, but then they did the nasty. The issue was that he was all possessive and he kept telling her, you are mine, you are mine. You guys basically just met like half an hour ago. What do you mean you're mine? It's not hot. It's creepy, weird. I DNF'd it because of that. So why did I read this? For the rest of the video, we are going to sort of whisper because we have guests. And it took me way too much to film up until now. So I'm running out of time. No worries. It's fine. We're gonna whisper. So The Christmas Guest. This was a really short thriller. And it was really different from any other thrillers I have read before. I don't know if it's objectively great because I don't feel like it's very memorable for me. But it was really good. It did the job. I'd say that it deserves to be in the objectively great, but because it's not memorable enough, that's why it's in the did the job. But it's still nonetheless good. I am recommending it. Now, Trial of the Sun Queen. I really wanted to read this book because the cover is gold and it got my attention. What can I say? If it's sparkly, I'm interested, okay? Nothing was bad about it. It was a good pace. It was a good storyline. We had deadly trials, though I'd say the deadly trials weren't deadly enough. For something was missing. I cannot tell you what, but something was missing. So I'd say it did the job. It was a fun read. I enjoyed it, but I am not interested in continuing the series, unfortunately. Oh my god, we got to this damn book, How My Neighbor Stole Christmas by Megan Quinn. Listen up. This was the worst book I have read this year. I hated the FMC with every single cell in my body. I cannot understand how the author decided to write this person like this, because she is a little whiny bitch, right? She had to take care of her aunt that was injured, and then she just put everything on her sister's shoulders and whines about it. Like, she's doing all the job. Why are you the one to whine about it? Like, shut the up. I shouldn't say okay. I hated the book, and I read 50 pages, I think. I do not care about these characters, and I wish Story, whatever her name is, to trip and what do I wish for her to happen? I don't know. I don't know where I was going with that. It took the joy of reading from me. And for that reason, shelf of shame. Megan Quinn books are just not for me. And from what I've heard, there is a certain scene in here where the guy sticks a candy cane up her, you know what, and I do not want to read of nothing. And I've already told you this is a great book, objectively great, and with hooked. I feel like this is the best dark romance I have ever read, and that's because the plot was good. The spice was atrocious. I do not understand. Again, I enjoyed the book. I liked it. I just didn't like the spice at all. If you are into dark romance, it is a good book. It's objectively great in that way. You've Reached Sam made me bawl my eyes out. I do not know why I made myself go through that. I listened to you and read the book, and I regret it. Partly because it was a really good book. I loved the book. It hit so close to home. I resonated with most of what happened in the book. But I do not like sad books. I do not want to cry like that ever again while reading a book. So I will not read any other books written by Dustin Tao, I think. It was objectively great. It made me feel something, and it would be a God tier, but because I hate sad books so much, and I just cannot put it in the God tier because I don't want to continue with these types of books, and I wouldn't read it again. The Ministry of Time. This goddamn book put me in a reading slump single-handedly. I didn't like it. The writing style was so heavy and clunky and weird, and we didn't even know the name of the FMC. And I do understand that that's the freaking point. I do get that. I do not like the point. Why can't I know her name? I'd say it could have been an email. I DNF'd it. Also, I forgot to say that. I did DNF it. Maybe 40% in it. Corrupt. Penelope Douglas's book made me reconsider my stance on dark romance. Maybe it's just not for me. Okay, especially when we had basically a pity threesome. At that point, I decided to turn my brain off and just not comprehend what's going on, you know? No, I don't know why did I freaking read this. No. Then we have Babel by R.F. Kuang. This is a unique book. It has a very unique magic system.
It is fantasy, it's not romantasy by any means. The writing style is heavier. The plot, the storyline wasn't to my liking. I just like certain types of worlds and stories and plots, right? It's not what I usually enjoy. A really good book. I feel like it's objectively great for everyone in my opinion. It's just not what I personally most enjoy. Love theoretically. And this is another Ellie Hazelwood book, very similar to the other Ellie Hazelwood book. So this is definitely an injected into my veins, and I liked it more than I did The Love Hypothesis. I really resonated with the FMC. I cried while reading this. I cried while reading a rom-com. Imagine that. I read it in one sitting and I loved it. This one is my favorite Ellie Hazelwood book of all time, up until now. Now with Ellie Hazelwood books, I try to ignore the spice. And it's just too much. It's too descriptive. I do not like it. But other than the spice, her books are outstanding. If you want rom-coms, her books are the only ones that really make me laugh for real while reading. This is our ranking. I am realizing that I do not have many God tier books, unfortunately. Can I count? Yeah, 8. Only 8 of them, which is not so much. I need to find more God tier books this year. For 2026, my goal is 100 books. Will I be able to do that? I doubt it. I doubt it. The thing is, in 2025, I read the most books I have ever read, and that's because I started being a book content creator. So that made me read more, and I am so happy I did that. I don't know, I'm kind of sort of yapping. Thank you for watching. This was fun. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like and subscribe. Hope you are having a wonderful day. Bye!